We went into the room and they explained to me that in some medical jargon, which went over my head, and I'm quite smart and savvy, but I kind of went into a state of shock. And then I burst into tears. And I can't even tell you why I burst into tears because I still didn't even know what I had.
Welcome to Where's My Money? One man, $1 million of debt, one podcast to find a way out.
So, imagine being told you've got cancer. And not just any cancer, one of the most aggressive types out there. You're terrified, you're trying to hold it together for your family, and then someone hands you a bill. Not for a second opinion, not for some fringe therapy, but for the only drug that gives you a fighting chance. That's the reality Catherine Cooke found herself in, and here's the kicker. If her cancer had spread further, the drug would be free. But because she caught it early, if you can call stage 3 early, our health system won't fund it. And so the question becomes, what is the cost of dying in this country? Or worse, what's the cost of trying not to? A couple of weeks ago, Catherine delivered a petition to Parliament signed by 17,096 people, asking for something that 40 other countries already provide. Publicly funded treatment that gives people like her a chance to live without going bankrupt. This is a different episode of Where's My Money? I get it. I'm not telling you how you can get rich today, but please bear with me. This episode is about the fight. The medical fight, the financial fight, and the fight to be heard. Because in New Zealand, if you want to survive something like this, it turns out you'd better be cashed up or start writing goodbye letters. Welcome to part 1 of The Cost of Dying. This is Catherine's story. Thank you for joining me, first of all. You're on an important mission, particularly today. You're delivering your 17,000 strong petition to a member of Parliament to get this shit sorted, right? Well, with the hope to get it sorted.
Yeah. I'm glad you used the word hope because I labelled my mission Te Manako, and Te Manako means hope. And I'm actually going to say it's 17,096 people that have signed it. What's been a revelation from even doing the breakfast show this morning is the amount of people that are flooding my messenger and my LinkedIn and my email saying, how can we sign this petition? And I'm like, where have you been? It's been out there for 4 months. So I'm absolutely confident had, breakfast or 7 Sharp or somebody picked it up earlier. I mean, the Herald did, and thank you to the Herald for doing that. We would have actually got way more. But, 17,096 people, the nation spoke.
Yeah, for sure. That's not an insignificant amount of people, is it?
No.
So if we take it back to when you were first diagnosed, which, what a time. Like, I can't even imagine what that must have been like. I just can't relate to it. What was your understanding of what treatment would be available for you, and when did you realise that you were going to have to fund it yourself?
Well, perhaps if I start with how I got diagnosed, because I need people to understand that you can have no symptoms. In fact, if you saw me the day, the week, the morning of being diagnosed, I looked great. I felt great. I was telling people how amazing I felt. And I'd had a couple of years of really significant health issues. So I'd had spinal operation, a hysterectomy, like some really big major surgery. Also lost my mum and my brother. My brother died to cancer as well. And so I went in for a routine mammogram, and that was on the 6th of November. And then I got a call back, and I thought, oh, here we go, take a percentage of the statistics, let's do another recheck. And so I wasn't taking it seriously. And I went in and had another mammogram, and then they said, I have to do biopsies. And I'm like, really? Okay, right. So I'm lying there having biopsies. And at that point, I'm like, oh, this is a little bit more serious. And they said, and then we'll need to see you in a week and you can bring a support person. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I still wasn't taking it seriously.
You don't want to.
No.
Part of you wants to.
Well, I was just like, I feel well. And I even said to my husband, I was in the waiting room and I was impatient to be at the next meeting. And I'm like, I'm going to tell this receptionist I'm going an hour into being late. If they're going to tell me something, tell me in reception. And the lady said, no, you need to wait. And look, we went into the room and they explained to me that in some medical jargon, which went over my head, and I'm quite smart and savvy, but I kind of went into a state of shock. And then I burst into tears. And I can't even tell you why I burst into tears because I still didn't even know what I had, And my husband took all the information, and then what was really interesting, and I need the people that listen to this to hear what I'm saying, is the nurse said to me in the next room, look, I want you to take your time to make a decision of who you go on the journey with. So think seriously about the surgeon. Take up to 3 weeks. But she said, if I think I know you well enough, like in the last hour, you'll choose one quickly. Well, I can tell you what, Lachlan, if I had taken 3 weeks, this triple negative is actually a death sentence, like if I waited 3 weeks, it would have actually grown legs, arms and moved and gravitated. So I picked a surgeon straight away. She was able to see me the next week, and then she had me in with the oncologist pretty much straight away. So I saw the oncologist at Harbour Cancer Wellness, and she said to me, 2 hours of, this is really serious, this is the type of treatment you're going to need, 12 weeks of this type of chemo, another 12 weeks of this type of chemo, plus there's only one line of defence for your type of cancer, and it's called Keytruda. And then she said to me, and it's currently unfunded for early stage, but she said, what we'll do is we're going to send you off for a whole raft of different scans, because obviously, you've had a mammogram, now we need to do a CT scan and all that. There could be a chance that you could be in the advanced stage and it'll be funded. So on one hand, I'm like, I hope it's advanced so I'm funded. And then on the other hand, I'm like,
no, I don't want it to be advanced.
I don't want it to be advanced at all. So it came back, and I'm in the early stages, stage 3. There's stage 4, and there is no stage 5 for triple negative breast cancer.
So they've said there's one line of defence, but you can't have it unless you pay.
Well, I can if I'm in 40 countries, including Australia. So the 40 countries, including Australia, have been funding early stage and advanced for a long time now, and our government was advised by the pharmac advisors 2 years ago to fund early stage and advanced triple negative. And what they ended up doing last year is they only funded advanced. And my question is why? Why would you only fund advanced? Why would you not fund early stage triple negative cancer and have less people go into advanced? Less burden on the health system, the mental health system, the welfare system. People be able to get back to work and be purposeful. This doesn't even impact just us as patients. It affects everybody that's going through it with us. So when I say mental health, I don't say it lightly.
It's friends and family, it's colleagues, it's the neighbour, like the flow-on effects of someone getting sick, or, the worst happening and then passing away. Like, it's...
Yeah, look...
You can't put a price on that kind of effect on humans, right?
Well, it actually affects everybody's mental well-being. I mean, we talk about caring for each other, we talk about loving each other, we talk about creating communities, and yet we're not even supporting and putting value on that. So the reality is by, not funding this treatment at an early stage, we could be saving so much money on the health system. Isn't this government about saving money? Isn't this government about, sorting out mental wellness? So isn't this government about taking people off the welfare system? Because some people are on the welfare system because, I've got letters that I'm taking with my petition this afternoon, and letters of people who are, they're on their own. And, they've had to give up work, so they have to go to work and income and get paid.
And think of that as a sacrifice, just giving up your job to try and survive.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So not only are you fighting the fight against the disease, and now you've got to fight the fight against the financial burden or the financial ruin. And can I also just say, in September last year, I mean, the actual program that has been designed to help us, it's called Keynote 522 from memory, and it's been proven to be effective on our cancer. Our cancer is known, our triple negative breast cancer is known as being incurable. So the Keytruda with the regime of chemo has proven to be effective, and that's why it's been adopted and practiced as a standard guideline in 40 countries around the world.
And yet you're the one who's having to figure out how you're going to pay for it. Insurance wasn't an option here. How did that all play out?
I'll be honest. I do have insurance, but I've also got bills to pay as well in a life, and I can't work from some of the treatment. I've ended up in hospital twice. So the reality is I can't work the same.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee I can work. And so, the reality is how am I going to pay for that? And also costs have gone up as well. Our mortgages have all gone up.
The cost of literally fucking everything has gone up.
Absolutely. Although I did go and get cheap petrol yesterday, but I'm sure that once you have established that little station, it'll go back to being the regular price like it did in another area.
Yeah, well, let's keep an eye on old Trumpy and see what happens with petrol prices in the next few weeks. So you're looking at, someone's given you a bill for something that you don't just want. You need this.
Yeah.
What's the sacrifice you had to make to fund this? Pay for it?
Well, the sacrifice I had to make was I had to pay for it, or I had to start writing letters to my children to say goodbye. And that's the reality of what most people are saying. I know we're here talking about myself, but I want to talk to you about the travesty that's happening around the country. The more people that have come to me and said that they have what I've got at the same stage and they've been told they don't qualify. And I asked them, because the interpretation of don't qualify means what? Does it mean you don't qualify and you don't get funding? And they've not even been given the option to self-fund. So these are people that didn't even know that they can self-fund this treatment themselves. Then I've got people who've said, hey, we couldn't self-fund and my tumour got bigger. And so people took the wheel and created a Give a Little page and did fundraising. And obviously that's how they've got, money to be able to do Katrina. But, the fact that they've allowed that tumour to get bigger, that's going to give no guarantees for them because they've gone into more of that advanced stage, even though they're not at the advanced stage in terms of being able to get funding. I also want to talk to you about one Saturday morning. I was so unwell and I was in bed and just happened to look at my Give a Little page, but to be honest, I felt really ashamed about. I felt ashamed to be asking for money. Like I know what it's like to come from a poor. I grew up in a state house. My mother worked 3 jobs, and it just taught us hard work. But somebody donated $50,000 to me, and I was like, oh my God, is my eyesight gone with chemo? Is that an extra couple of zeros?
You didn't know who it was?
Well, that's an interesting story. I walked downstairs and I said to my husband in my 90 in the middle of the day, someone's given me $50,000. He said, it's okay, honey, go back to bed. He was really like, go back to bed.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, it's anonymous. I didn't know who it was, but I held a pink ribbon breakfast at Alalee Estate and raised $4,000 for that and awareness. And we got a phone call in the morning, and this person, and I'm going to say person, so I want to keep this person anonymous. They said, we haven't booked, but we have to meet Catherine Cooke. So my husband said, look, we'll make a space for you. And the person came up and introduced themselves during the course of the event and said, I'm your donor. I donated $50,000 to you. Now, they weren't making it up because there's only a few things
Who's
that they
know?
knew.
Yeah.
And this lovely person said, when I read your story, I connected with you, and then proceeded to tell me about how their mother had died almost a decade ago of cancer. And she said, what resonated with me was the fact that you weren't caring about yourself, you were caring about other people. So, Reagan, this petition is not about me. It is not going to help me. It's too late to help me. I have to still keep funding. This petition is to stop others having to go through the financial burden, the financial ruin, or having to write letters to their children and family to say goodbye.
What is the cost of this? What is the hard number on getting this drug? It's not like popping to the pharmacy and paying your $5 prescription.
Well, it might be if it gets
could
put on the shelf.
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
I even heard Ozempic's going to be put on the shelf, and we're all going to be looking very interesting soon. But yeah, so 17 treatments, $8,000 is what I have to pay. There is a contributing factor that they will contribute when you get to a threshold, but that could change. So there's no guarantees. Like
17 treatments at $8,000 each. What?
The bag is like that by that, and it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And when you're starting out, so I said to you, I got diagnosed on the 20th of November, and basically I started my treatment on the 17th of December, the week of Christmas. That was my Christmas present, by the way.
Yeah, Christmas.
Having this lovely little portacath in my chest and getting straight into it. And I just also want to talk to you about some of the crazy stuff that happened that people don't realise. So I was like, the things in life that you worry about that you realise actually are insignificant.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the hairdresser and, I had beautiful sort of golden hair and I'd say, don't you cut my fringe too short because there'll be a price to pay, and we'd have like a little joke. Well, I've got no hair. So there's no fringe to talk about anymore. But basically on New Year's Eve, I reached out to a couple of friends and said, hey, I really want to get some lovely photos done before I lose my hair. And one of my friend's daughter, we went to Alalee Estate and took some beautiful photos. And I had to lie down that afternoon. I was really unwell. I woke up that afternoon and my hair had gone into dreadlocks. Literally from just lying down, had gone from being normal hair into like clumps of dreadlocks. And I had friends over and I went downstairs and I was just a mess. I was bawling. I was like, oh my God, I can't. And I put shampoo on. I couldn't do anything, conditioner, nothing. It was just dreadlocks. And so I phoned my friend who's a hairdresser and I said to her, I got the wig, you haven't dyed it yet because I didn't think I was going to lose my hair so quickly, but it's now gone to dreadlocks. Can you help me out? I know it's the holidays. So I went round to her hair salon the next day and honestly losing my hair was like losing a huge part of who I was. But when I look back on it now, it's just here.
Yeah. An amazing perspective kind of shifter, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that no part of this is even remotely fair.
Nothing.
Even when you're trying to plan a nice little last moment with your friends, while you've got your hair.
Yeah.
And that happens just like that. Like no part of any cancer journey is fair. But yours just seems... seems to be a slap in the face after slap in the face, right?
Oh, look, it is. It is a slap in the face. And it also brings out the good, the bad and the ugly in people. Before we started having this podcast, I was talking to you about how, adversity is something I'm not. It's not new to me. So, I was 26, nearly 27 years old and I had sudden hearing loss. They think it was an aneurysm, which caused the hearing loss. I was talking to my girlfriend on the telephone. Next minute she was gone and I thought, oh, how rude, she's hung up. Went to ring her back, stood up, fell over and realised this is serious. So I guess at that point, I'd already bought my house when I was 22, 23. So I already had like mortgage insurance and had started going down that path of getting insurance and life insurance. But which is
a good thing.
Oh, look, it was an absolute good thing. And that's the thing. Like we always think that as Kiwis, she'll be right and we're invincible. And even as I talk to, my daughter, I say to her, you should think about, having some kind of insurance once you start getting assets or even having a will if you've got animals for, or children, hopefully.
Yep.
Not referring children to being animals, by the way,
well,
but sometimes they can be.
be.
But the reality is I took income replacement insurance out. And I've had a loading most of my life in case I lost my hearing in my right ear, which has not happened. I did say to you I can be selective in hearing and that. But that's been the price that I paid with insurance. But at the end of the day, if you can't afford to lose it, I would strongly suggest that you seek advice and have insurance that's going to look after you. If I didn't have Southern Cross, I'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Because Katrina, as I understand, can only be given privately. So I would have to go to the public hospital, do my chemo, and then go to the private to get my Katrina done. And so it would be a lot more.
Just a rigmarole.
Yeah, a lot more of a rigmarole. But to be honest, having the amazing quickness of Southern Cross with PET scans and approvals, and I just get treated differently. Like even going and getting blood, I turn up in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and it's like about 50, 60 people here and I just give them my chemo form and I'm straight through, So there's advantages of having cancer. I'd like to say that they're not great advantages in terms of I wish I didn't have it. But, yeah.
You're a massive inspiration because you're very good at finding silver linings. And you've worked hard your whole life and for your kids. Did you ever imagine you'd be in this kind of situation? Like what kind of toll has it taken on you
Oh, look, if you had my husband in the room, he'll tell you he sees the side that other people don't see. It's emotional. I'm very heart-centric by nature. So in the job that I do as a business advisor, if you read my reviews, I pride myself on my 5-star reviews. And that's because I push people, but I take them to uncomfortable so that they can grow. But they respect that, but they know that I'm coming at it from a heart-centric, caring point of view. But this has taken me to a place of serious darkness. Like I remember when I first met my oncologist, she gave me the script, and I said, "What is it for?" And she said, "It's for antidepressants." And I said, "But I'm not depressed." I mean, like I said to you, I was well up until I got diagnosed with cancer from a mammogram, and now I've got antidepressants. Now, I don't begrudge anybody taking antidepressants. You know, you need to have what you need to have. But I certainly didn't feel depressed. Anyway, I took the form. She said, "Take it, fill it. You may need it." And got to my pharmacist, and he said, "Do you really want these?" He knows me. He's known me for a long time. And
Yeah.
so I didn't fill it, but what I will say to you is that having chemo has developed an anxiety for me. So I get the shakes, I get adrenaline rushes, and a feeling of like a panic attack.
Yeah.
And so I've had to start taking lorazepam, it again up there with it, anxiety and keeping that mental wellness in check. And I don't know if I'm going to have to stay on it forever. I mean, it hasn't impacted on my intelligence levels or ability to have a conversation with people.
No, but it's more levers you need to pull just to get through the day, and knowing that you're reliant on another thing, and this is to have this medication, I need this, and to get through the day, I need this. Like, you've got enough to focus on.
Oh, look, absolutely. And also, when I've been so unwell, I mean, the petition was sitting at nearly 5,000 in early May. And I'm like, I'm a 20,000 person or a 10,000 person. So I was like, I'm going to go for 10,000. And so I was like connecting with every Facebook group in New Zealand, and I could tell you the cities that were very poor, but we won't do that because I wouldn't want to have a hate group come at me. But shout out to Dunedin, amazing. Shout out to Invercargill, amazing. Shout out to Wellington, amazing. They really picked up and ran with the petition. So I pulled myself together, got a video together of my story, popped it up, told my story, and circulated that out everywhere. And that's what drove us to 17,096, by being me, real, authentic. Like I said to you, someone recently said I couldn't be on their podcast because I'm not famous enough. It's not about being famous. It's about creating awareness and helping other people. So,
and that, I said to you before, if that was the rule for a podcast, this Where's My Money wouldn't exist. I'm no one. All I'm trying to do is raise awareness of how we can be, understand money and be better with it, and understand how the whole world works around money, including your story, because this is a story of you having to sell your house to pay for the drugs you need to save your life.
Yeah, well,
how unfair is that?
Yeah, well, and I encourage the listeners to actually consider their moral compass, because we should all have one. And for me, that's in my DNA. I can't shy away from that. Like, sometimes when I say I'm going to do something, I see people rolling their eyes because they're like, "Oh my God, Catherine's going to do this," Like I said to you, you're Muriwai. I never left Muriwai behind and fundraised for them. The same with Dress for Success Auckland, There are people that need our help, and I believe it's a duty of care that we have and should have to help people. So even if you didn't sign this petition, I'm encouraging you to create a video, to create a noise, and to tag Christopher Luxon, to tag David Seymour in about the injustice of not having the guideline standard of care available and funded to enable people to actually survive.
Do you think your recovery, your survival of this would have been easier to achieve if you didn't have to worry about the money side of things? If you got your diagnosis and they said, it's cancer, but here's Keytruda, off you go.
Yeah.
You could have just focused on getting, fighting it and getting better.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, you're still going to have the emotional trauma and stress.
No doubt. And I don't want to take away from that.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I'm not here to do endorsements, and I'm certainly not paid to, but I do want to do a shout out to the Bank of New Zealand. That's my bank, because long before I knew that I was going to have to fund Keytruda, and I knew I was going to get a Give a Little page. They've been amazing. They've helped us out. They've appreciated where we're at. They've they've said you've front-footed us. You've front-footed it. You've kept us informed, and that's the key to it. If you find yourself in a really tricky situation, don't be an ostrich with your head in the sand. Get up and be courageous and be brave. And if you can't do that, find someone to help you, to go with you. But, the reality is, as you said, it would have made it a lot easier if it was funded. But, I had a scan 16 weeks ago. It was earlier than planned. Normally you do the scan after the end of the first regime as you go into the second regime. But there was concern that I wasn't going to be able to continue with chemo simply because I was so unwell. So after the first treatment, I ended up in hospital with an infection, and I had to drain fluid off me, and not where the cancer was. So this is an infection that's caused because your body just has no neutrophils, no bone marrow. And then after the second regime of cancer, they call it a red devil, I ended up needing 3 blood transfusions. I was so ill, I could barely walk. I looked like a drunk person, and my blood pressure was telling me I was nearly going to be on the floor. And it was debatable about, so I ended up in the hospital and very, very, very unwell. So, Keytruda would have certainly helped. And I want to live. I want to survive. Triple negative breast cancer is aggressive. It keeps coming back for 5 years. But what Keytruda has done is it's been found to be effective, that it's given us a chance of survival long term. So that's what I'm looking for.
You say you want to survive. I want you to survive because you haven't been fighting this for you. You've been fighting it for so many other people.
Yeah.
Which is so noble. I really wish.
Well, apparently I'm Portuguese royalty of heritage somewhere. I don't know where, and I don't know where my castle is. But thanks for my nobility there. So if that's what I'm going to get. Look, again, it is about the people, and look, my story doesn't end here. I know that. As awful as it sounds, I was meant to get cancer so I could help people, and there'll be something else that I will do to help other people for something else and something else and something else, and that's my journey, and I will continue to be who I am.
What's the next step for your treatment? How is it all going after, you said it was a pretty rough patch a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Where is it at now? Are you taking a break?
No, there's no break when you've got triple negative. So basically, the scan I had showed, just to complete that statement I made, it showed that the tumour was all but gone. And the one person said it was gone, one person said there was remnants, and it was just the housing unit that's there. But it's all but gone. So to have that effectiveness so early on, and I've continued to have more chemo.
But we won't fund it, eh?
No,
we won't fund it.
No, because I got pockets of money, you know. But basically, I've got surgery next week, next Thursday. And so what happens is you have surgery. So I'm having what's called a lumpectomy and a reconstruction. And then they will do the biopsies, and 2 to 3 weeks later I'll know exactly where I stand. And so on a best case scenario, it'll be staying with my oncologist for the next 2 years and keeping my lovely little port, because triple negative does have, as I said, the 5 years and especially 2 years of wanting to come back. It's
a fiery little bastard, yeah.
It is. And it doesn't matter whether you take both breasts off, it can still come back in your breastplate as well. So
wow.
It is a little bugger.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, if I don't get what's called a pathological complete response, a PCR, then I have to continue with radiation and chemo. But I am quietly optimistic. Is there any wood around here?
Yeah, sure. I mean,
yeah. Thank you. We've touched the real wood.
Yeah.
I'm confident we'll get a complete pathological response, and it'll be just back to my oncology. But there could be continuance of chemo, and also if the worst case scenario, I'll need another 17 rounds of Keytruda. on top of the Keytruda I've already had.
Boy, oh boy.
So I'm not even thinking about that right now. I have to think about what's in front of me, and I have to be positive. It's been an interesting journey. I said to you, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've got some lovely people that have come out of the woodworks knowing that I've got a Give a Little page. Apparently my cancer's karma, and had some horrible things done to me over the last few weeks. So I've got other fights happening in the background, which is an absolute travesty.
Just distractions from the actual issue here.
It's an absolute distraction. It's annoying. It says a lot about who they are, and it's not going to end well for them either, because I'm a fighter and I sit on the side of truth, and so we'll see where that goes. You and I might see each other on another podcast, or you might see me talking about something totally different. So.
Yeah, that sounds like our mate Duncan Garner wants to crack into that one straight away.
Yeah.
I truly wish you the best this afternoon. I hope these 17,000 signatures rattle some cages. I don't care which way anyone votes. Not having this funded makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But you're a legend, and you're actually.
Thank you. Look, I am who I am, and as I've said to everybody, it's not going to end with me passing the petition over. I am still going to be that annoying crazy frog person. I hate frogs, by the way, but I used to have a license for crazy frogs way back in the day. But I'm going to be that person that's going to be continuing to hold them to account, because at the end of the day, I expect for the people that I vote in to be showing common sense, business sense, and valuing the people of the nation. And if you're going to make a statement that you put health and mental wellness as a priority, then you should be doing it. And, my next statement will be, Minister of Immigration, Erica Stanford, why are you inviting people to come to New Zealand to become citizens if we're not going to fund them when they get sick? Why would you come here? You could go to 40 other countries where you could go and be assured of being funded. But it has to start here at home. And these are people that have paid taxes, recreated for future generations. I've got two adult children in service-related jobs. I can't tell you what they do, but they're paying their taxes, and then they will create children. We're doing our bit for society, and I've got lots of businesses that need my help. I'm saving myself to continue to help people, and that's why I'm doing it. It's not just about me.
Well, all the best for this afternoon. I hope your surgery next week goes swimmingly.
Thank you. I'll be having a nice sleep.
Yeah, totally. How good's a general anaesthetic sleep? I want you to just, now that you've delivered the petition, give yourself at least a couple of weeks and just focus on you again, because I can tell you're so motivated to help other people.
Yeah.
Have some you time.
I'm looking forward.
You deserve it.
I'm looking forward to it. But can I tell you one little quick story as we wrap this up? I just want to tell you an amazing story. So I said to you that I'm all for helping people, and people go, oh my God, what Catherine's going to do next? And I just want to say thank you to the amazing people, the amazing sisters that rallied around me. I did a Dress for Success event in September at Alalea Estate, and then I said I'd do another one in February. It was all about Abigails and getting the Abigails along and having a good dance and fundraising. And I got cancer. And so my friend said to a friend, hey, my friend got cancer. We need to rally around and help her. And so Carla from Enable Me was one of those people who rocked up and saw my tears on a team meeting as we navigated through the holiday period trying to build this event. And if it wasn't for those amazing ladies, and even on the day they said, you don't need to turn up, you're really unwell, I turned up, and if you saw a photo of me then, you would think I was a different person. I looked like death. But I turned up because I had to give my speech so that we could actually get the best result for the day. I needed people to know that even on your worst day, you can turn up. So make sure that we don't forget communities. And that's the message. It's sisterhood, brotherhood. It's looking out for each other, and, don't turn away. Use your moral compass. Everybody needs somebody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And good luck. I want, there's probably a better word than luck, but all the best. I hope someone listens. Catherine's story is heartbreaking and, to be honest, a little infuriating, but it also brings into sharp focus something most of us avoid thinking about. What happens when your life, your health, your finances, they all collide? Because when you're dealing with a diagnosis, you're not just making medical decisions, you're making money decisions. Whether it's how long you can afford to stop working, how to access insurance, or what to do about your mortgage. These aren't just emotional conversations, they're financial ones too. So, what do you actually do if this happens to you or someone you love? Shaila is a coach from Enable Me, and she's here to give us 5 practical things you can do right now to get ahead of a worst case scenario. Whether you're facing it yourself or just want to be better prepared, start here.
The first thing I would put on the list is insurance. Dig out your insurance policy, find out what sort of insurances do you have. Do you have medical cover? If you do, then reach out to your provider and see what are the covers you are entitled for any treatments, any care as such. The second thing I would go back is look at your other personal insurances. Do you have any? And if you do, then reach out to your provider straight away, because you could be entitled to other financial support, which can give you a little bit of relief as well.
Okay, what's next on the list?
The second thing is, do you have a will? If you do, is it up to date? And if you don't, then getting a will is actually not a big deal. It's very simple, straightforward. But the most other important thing is, do you have enduring power of attorney in place? This is trusting somebody to look after your affairs when you're not around.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other thing is, sometimes people think will is not important, think about do you have a KiwiSaver or superannuation? What is going to happen to the payout that happens? Do you want to distribute that within your family? So having right plan in place, having will in place and enduring power of attorney is going to minimize all that confusion, delay, dispute.
And fights over who gets your money when you kick the bucket. All right, number 3 on the list, what have we got?
And the other thing I would say is reach out to your banks. Do you currently have any debts? Reach out to your banks. Find out what are your options. If you have got a mortgage, if you've got a credit cards, if you've got a personal loan, your provider, there is always support and help for you. Don't be afraid. Don't leave it until last minute that it becomes unmanageable. Sometimes people fear what's going to happen, but if you reach out to your bank, book an appointment, see your banker, they will give you the options of what your options are. Can you put your mortgage on repayment holiday, and what are your plans moving forward? So go and talk to someone.
From what I've heard, particularly from speaking with Catherine Cooke, she reached out to her bank and said, this is what's happened, and they will put all the options on the table of how they can help, because they do want to help you, right?
Exactly. And everybody wants to help you, but you have to go and ask.
Yeah, they're not going to know otherwise. Next on the list.
Make a list of all your expenses that you have, your ongoing expenses. That could be your bills, your medical cost, and what is your runway? How much income do you have to cover all those expenses? So if you're still employed, reach out to your employer. See, do you have anything in your contract that would cover, or even simple thing like a sick leave? Do you have enough sick leave that could help you give that steady income? Reach out to, for any benefits that you could be entitled for. So that gives you that peace of mind, and you can carry on focusing on recovery, but it gives you a good snapshot of what are my ongoing expenses, what is that going to look like for next few months, and what income do I have to cover that.
You're so right. The last thing you need if you've got a serious illness or even a terminal illness to deal with, that you don't want to be dealing with admin. You don't want to be losing sleep over bills and seemingly comparatively inconsequential things that could just be sorted by someone else, so you can focus on getting better. That's if that's on the table. What's the last thing on the list? How should we be prepared for these situations?
A very important thing is keep all your important documents in one place. Do you have will in place? Do you have any properties or any other assets? What are you going to do with that? Your insurance documents, your KiwiSaver documents, making a list of, sometimes, you have passwords and things like that as well. Keep everything in one place, but talk to somebody that you trust. Talk to your family or any one particular person that you think is going to take care of your matters when you're not around.
And that's a tricky one too. In the digital world where we don't have printed versions of everything, a lot of that stuff can be lost in email attachments and just kind of into the ether. You download it, you delete it. Do you recommend printing out that stuff in hard copies, the important stuff, and kind of locking it away?
Whatever works for an individual. I guess going back to the old-fashioned hard copies, you can never go wrong with that. Have them in a sort of a nice folder, tuck it away, or Google Drive is another place where you can store all your documents, but making sure you have given access to that person who's going to take care of all the matters. So there are different ways of doing it. Yeah.
Well, I think that is a good toolkit to have to be prepared for these situations. Any other last little tidbits you want to throw in there just to give us a little bit of confidence knowing we can navigate these uncertain times when we do come across them?
Yes. Look, it is not hard. Reach out, ask for help. It can be a very vulnerable time for everybody, but this is something very important that needs to be taken care of. But be assured that there are people out there who are going to help you, who are going to support you through this process as well. So make a list of things that is important to you that you want to take care of. That can be, looked after in your absence. So don't hold yourself back. Ask for help.
Fantastic advice from you, Shaila. Thank you so much. And obviously all the team at Enable Me and any other financial advice that you get, everyone just wants to help. So the more people you've got on your team, the better equipped you're going to be to deal with this kind of stuff. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Massive thank you to my guests, Catherine Cooke, for sharing such a personal and powerful story, and Shaila from Enable Me for giving us practical, clear advice on what to do when life takes a turn. This episode was a tough one, but an important one. And it's only part one. Later this season, we'll go deeper into the cost of dying, and not just the emotional toll, but the hard costs most people don't want to talk about. Funerals, cremation, lawyers, estate admin, and paperwork. The stuff that can blindside families at the worst possible time. It's a morbid one, but I'm genuinely curious. How much does it cost to die? The next step, we change gears a little bit. It's the first episode of Rags to Riches, our new series within the podcast, where I sit down with some big names you may or may not recognize, but they share a common story. People who started with nothing and built real wealth and success. Business leaders, cultural figures, the works. Our first guest drops next week. Philippa Middleton started with literally nothing, but was recently able to buy a house in Auckland's Herne Bay in cash. She's a business success and a business mentor, and she's got some awesome tales to tell. Hit follow so you don't miss it. And if you've got thoughts on today's episode, maybe it hit close to home or raised important questions, message me, tag us, or jump into the comments at Where's My Money NZ. You'll find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and of course in your podcast feed. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next week. We will keep asking the question, where's my money?